Alright, welcome to Key Levels. This indicator was developed based on the most recent trading strategy that Chad Trades on YouTube uses. Chad utilizes a service called QuanticoCap, which costs about $200 a month, and the Greeks associated with trading options to generate key levels that are then traded in conjunction with the Williams-VIX indicator, which is a free public indicator that's available on TradingView. And trade entries for this system that Chad looks for is a close above or below a signal candle produced by the WVF indicator. And I've taken all that information, basically the ability to set levels on the MNQ or NQ charts, which are the futures charts for the NASDAQ, and convert QQQ levels, which is the ticker for the options or the NASDAQ actual market, and take those values, automatically convert them, plot them on your chart for MNQ and NQ, and I'll show you why that's important here in just a second. I've currently coded the indicator to have up to 7 levels, because that's the maximum that Chad's used so far, and I also coded in the option to set 2 different types of alerts. Number 1 is a buy, number 2 is a sell. So if you're looking for only buys, you can just set the buy alert and it'll notify you whenever a buy signal happens, or sell whenever a sell signal happens. So let's click over here to the indicator. So here it is on MNQ is the chart that I'm on right now. Down here will be the Williams-VIX indicator. It may look somewhat familiar. I'm sure you've seen it in this format before. And let's pull up the menu. So in the menu here, for key levels, you've got several different inputs. Number 1, I've got designated the key trading hours for this trading system as set to default 9:30 a.m. New York to 1 p.m. New York. And that's Eastern Standard Time here in the States. I'm in Mountain Time, so I'm 2 hours behind New York. Anyway, if you want to trade outside of those particular hours for whatever reason, you feel like you have an edge there or whatnot, you can click this toggle here, limit trading hours, and if you remove that, it will open up all the data that you want for the entire day. If you only want to trade during when Chad trades, or rather the most volatile periods of the market, which give you the most opportunities to capitalize on these particular levels, then I would suggest keeping that toggled on. And that will limit the amount of signals and time that the indicator will actually tell you stuff. Then when you come in here, let's just reset this to default real quick. It'll look like this. It'll be blank, and it will have these 7 different key levels that you can designate. So if we click over to the Discord here real quick, go to Chad's trading plan. He posts this every day. You'll notice that he says what his bias is at a particular level, what his main setup is. He was planning on trading a pullback today from 596 to 94, targeting 598, and then he usually includes a chart. Now this chart is on QQQ, and he has these levels listed out that he's interested in. They're usually color-coded. Sometimes he'll put text on these levels to describe what type of trade he's looking for at those levels, and so on. And so what I've done with my indicator, we'll just keep that pulled up there so we can reference it easier, is basically programmed in so that you don't have to do any calculations from the QQQ chart over to the MNQ or NQ charts. All you do is say, okay, I want a level. The first level that he was indicating here was 602. So I just type in 602, and he had it the color green, And if you want to label this with a particular label, he had this in his setups as 602 short pullback. So if it made it up to 602, he was looking for a short pullback. So we can come over here and type in short pullback and hit OK, and that will put that on the chart here. Now, because I've limited the trading hours and it just keeps on going, there's a label that prints out to the side of your level that's indicated here, and it will put in the level that's there, 602. It'll put in the description that you inputted, short pullback, and that's how it is. So let's go ahead and just finish this off here just to make sure it looks like Chad's for the day, just to demonstrate how that works. So we had 600, 599, 596, and 594. So 600, 599, 596, 594. These two are red. These two are green. Click all those levels on. And boom. There you go. It's all labeled. It plots the labels on there. It puts the lines on so you know exactly where those levels are. You can see they're nice smooth lines. I've applied basically storing the values so that it gets rid of all the noise that's associated when you're looking at this on a Heikin-Ashi candle chart. And one thing you will notice is when you click off the limit trading hours, it will have a step often when those trading hours toggle over from one session to the next. And that's just an adjustment. Every time the market opens, there is a slight difference in the price, and so those levels will adjust. And so that's normal, that's typical. Every time the market opens, it's just recalculating the ratio between the two charts and applying that new value accurately. Alright, pull this back up here, toggle that back on. So that's how you set your levels, and you can put in whatever description you want. Sometimes he'll put, say, negative bar on there, just things like that. You can see that'll just pop up right there. The next thing is some of you use a light chart instead of the dark chart. If you do, you're going to want to toggle this over because these white labels won't show up. And if you do that, it'll flip them to black. The text on the labels will be black. That way you can see it on your white chart. The text label size, pretty self-explanatory. If you bump that up, then the words get bigger. And this last one here, label offset, that's just how far off the current price action those labels go. So if we say bump this up to 20, that'll just shift those over in case you want more room between where the price is and where the labels are. So it's not sitting right on top of the price action. Finally, Chad likes to use the VWAP often on his chart, so I put it in there so you can just simply add it in. It'll plot it automatically and reset as it's supposed to every day and keep it labeled for you. And last but not least, some members were interested in knowing what the current price is at all times. So if you toggle that on, it will stick a label on there and show you exactly what the current price is converted over into QQQ. So you know in relationship to where your targets are, what your current price is. Alright, I will show you now how to set the alerts. So if you click here over on the alerts, I've got some alerts that I use personally over here. This one, you just click on this plus button here to set a new alert. You come here, you select the indicator, and then here are the two options that are available for you to alert to. Buy, sell, quite self-explanatory there. click buy, it'll only trigger whenever a buy label is printed, and you can set it whether it goes off once per bar. That'll happen before the bar closes. This one here, it will happen once the bar is closed. This will trigger the alert only once, so only on the first time that it happens. Or this will do it every minute if the condition is true, essentially. I like to do either once per bar or once per bar close. If I choose once per bar, I always wait until the candle closes to make sure it persists, the signal persists. Because once the candle's closed, it will no longer change. If it was a buy when the candle closed, it'll just stay there. And that's pretty much it. You can click over to message, change the alert, say, buy now, right? It's time to buy. And then you just hit create, and it'll pop over here, buy now. It's on MNQ, the 1 minute, and that'll trigger until you cancel it or pause it, or it expires on time. So that's the tutorial for that. I did also want to mention that Chad uses Quantico Cap to calculate his levels for determining where he wants to take a trade entry. Today he ended up taking this particular buy signal and riding it up just past this first initial target line that he was interested in. So that's great. I've been looking at using the open interest rather than the gamma delta charm Greeks that he's looking at, because I don't want to pay $200 a month to access that data. And so one of the options that I came up with was open interest. So I found on Yahoo Finance that they offer open interest for QQQ, and they list it out in calls and puts. I have it set up on straddle instead of a list. That just formats the data in a way that I can use it. And then I created this spreadsheet here. I have a link to that web page there that you can just click on the link and it will take you to the sheet or the web page that will give you access to the data that you need. Just follow the instructions here, copy the data from the data table. So I just come in here and I highlight all of this data all the way down to the bottom and copy, or right click and control, or right click and copy, or control C. And then I come back to my spreadsheet, come over to the QQQ data tab, and if there's any data in here, just select it all and delete, and then paste in the new data. And then when you do that, it will generate a new graph. And what this basically shows you is something very similar to what Chad gets from the gamma delta charm Greeks. Basically, it shows you where interest flips from negative to positive, and so you get this kind of inflection point here. And then what you can do is you can input either the current market value, or what I like to do is I actually like to input the flip value. So this would be 197, where it goes from negative to positive. So I would just put 197 there, and then I would update the date. This is going to be for the 23rd. And then I come on here, double click, and I update where the red and green bars are. So I just highlight the biggest red bar, so 690. There we go. And then this is already the biggest bar for positive on the green. And that's it. And so then looking at this, you would just perform the same type of analysis that Chad does on the Greeks. Basically, if price is sitting at $5.99, let's say, then it would very likely want to be pulled up to 600 or down to 598. And it would like to probably stick around those levels until it breaks out. And once it breaks out, it might not have much trouble getting past 601, 602, but then it might get held up at 603 again. Similarly, if it breaks down, it looks like it could go and get drawn to this 595 level because that one's sticking out. but if it happened to make it over it, it might stall at 593 because that's the next minimum. And so basically what you're just looking for are minimums and maximums. So anytime it spikes and then goes back down, it spikes, it goes back down, it spikes, it goes back down, it goes down and then comes back up, that's what you're looking for. And that's what I've been using to place my levels on my chart. That way I don't have to pay for that service. I know there is another resource that I found that I've applied or posted on my Discord on the Key Levels channel. Pop over to that real quick. So this second post here, that's where I've posted access to that spreadsheet. I've also posted a couple of tutorial videos that go a little bit more in depth on how to use that spreadsheet. And then this one here generates gamma exposure for QQQ. It's very, very similar to gamma. So until they switch that over to a paid service, currently it is a free account creation service. So you can go to gexstream.com and have access to the gamma exposure for free right now. It essentially almost always, I'd say greater than 95% of the time, lines up with gamma. And you can set your levels like Chad does off of the Greeks with essentially just this. Finally, I've got a quick little video that Chad did on training on how to look at the Greeks, basically what I just explained to you, how he looks for minimums and maximums on his chart in order to set those levels. And then I've started tracking my trading with this particular strategy, and I'm using this Excel sheet to document all of that, basically trying to figure out what's a good entry, what's a good target, what do I want to do with this trading system. So if you want, you can follow along and maybe get some good ideas looking at that. Anyway, take care, thanks for sticking with me, and hope you enjoy Key Levels.